is it like this? Instead of hate, it should be love, we invite it. You don't agree, then you're the problem that we're fighting. Open up your mind, stand up, become righteous. Why is it like this? Instead of hate, it should be love, we invite it. You don't agree, then you're the problem that we're fighting.
Welcome to our Autism Awareness episode featuring the amazing Kat, long-time friend. A live studio audience for this. So, are you feeling relaxed? Are you ready?
I am. I'm ready.
Excellent. I'm very glad to finally have you here on a podcast.
I'm
We've
excited.
spoke about this for many years, haven't we?
Yes,
The potential.
Definitely.
So, we say many years, but how many years have we been friends?
I'd say about 14
years.
14 years when George was a baby.
Well, I was just thinking that is literally the age of the students that I teach and your son. So 14 years of friendship. When we first met, you'd got 2 kids.
Yeah.
You now have 4 children in total.
I do.
And when we first met, the 2 youngest were, 1 and 2?
Yeah.
George and Esmay. And we're going to begin by talking about the beautiful Esmay. And her autism and how her autism has impacted on her life and also on the whole family's life and your life as an individual and as a mum. So let's begin right at the start then, because Esmay was really young when did they diagnose her? Did they suspect?
We started to suspect is when we had her routine hearing check.
Okay.
And it was,
as a baby?
As a baby. She was about 1.5. And she was going backwards. So everything she was processing in, she all of a sudden went backwards. And that's when we started questioning.
Yeah, and I mean, I've heard that kind of scenario before where they start to babble, start to hit these milestones, start to progress how you'd expect, and then it suddenly stops or reverts.
Yes.
So when I first came on the scene, Esmay was 2, full of energy, full of beans.
Yeah. Never-ending energy.
Yeah, and non-verbal, but did you know at that point the kind of extent, where were you at in your journey when I came onto the scene?
It was all new to me. Everything was a research. We researched everything we could get our hands on.
And was there a lot? Did you find there was a lot?
There was, yeah. There's definitely more now, obviously, because of more things being studied. But there was still a lot of information back then, and I was grateful for that information.
Yeah.
Definitely, because it was so alien to me.
Did you find then that you were supported by the health services and things?
Definitely.
Did they give you the right direction to look? From
the get-go, as soon as Esmay got the diagnosis, the ball was rolling. She had a special needs nursery. She had play therapists come to the house and do special...
I remember the play therapists when they were on the
great.
scene.
It was really good. It helped with her eye contact and getting to do her hand movements and stuff like that. Just doing routine little plays, which helped her.
Yeah. So we're talking Esmay's 15 now, 16 this year.
Yeah, crazy.
Wow, yeah. I know, where has that time gone? So we are talking, over 10 years ago when you were first-time mum to Esmay.
Yeah.
And with a little toddler as well, because George was born quite soon afterwards.
Yeah.
So your hands must have been totally full.
It was.
Understanding these new milestones that weren't the expected.
Yeah, no, I definitely had different milestones to what other people would have had at her age.
Yeah.
And she had a lot more challenges. It was always a fight with Esmay because she was very independent.
Right from the off.
Always wanted to do things her way. Like, if you didn't do it her way, it won't get done. So,
in a way,
routine was the best thing that ever happened for Esmay.
And did she find her routine and you had to kind of work around that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Without a doubt.
One of the biggest things I remember is how little she slept.
Yeah. 2 hours a night.
Yeah.
I'd be lucky if I get 2 hours.
Yeah. I mean, that's like no exaggeration in terms of...
No exaggeration. I was running off fumes.
Well, you used to drink so many energy drinks.
I did. I'm so glad I don't even drink caffeine at all now.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, and we'll come on to that when we speak. We'll kind of bring your migraines and your experience into it soon. But so she wasn't sleeping very much at all. And did you know that was going to be something expected with the autism?
Not at first. But I think when she was always a really tough one to get to sleep anyway. Even when she was a newborn, we would be walking the streets in a pram trying to get her to sleep. And we'd be lucky, like I said, if we'd get more than 2 hours.
Yeah.
And she could run off that all day and then not be tired.
And that is the difference, isn't it? It's not that she was like trying to sleep and couldn't sleep. She just didn't need that amount of sleep. And then you guys still did need that amount of sleep.
Exactly.
So absolutely exhausting. I mean, one of the things that comes to mind is that time when your shop had come.
Yep.
That time. And then you'd all gone to bed. So talk us through that incident.
Okay, so this is when she was still really young, when she was about 2. We did the shop, went to bed.
The online shop had arrived, you'd put it away.
Put it away. We went to bed. She was asleep. I'm a light sleeper, so I do usually wake up if I hear her in the middle of the night. And I said I'm a light sleeper. Yeah. But
you must have been particularly zonked.
Yeah, I must have been particularly tired that night. And I got up in the morning and everything we had bought the night before had been eaten. She had literally opened every single thing she could find.
And eaten them.
Even if she didn't like it, she still opened it and tried it. So the whole lot got wasted. That's when our house began the journey of being Fort Knox, basically, locking everything up, because it wasn't just the foods in the cupboards, it was running taps in the bathroom, plugs in, flooding, that kind of thing. So, and obviously, we didn't want to get injured or anything as well, so... We had to make our house Fort Knox and make sure the keys were never left in the door, everything, because...
Well, even, didn't you have number code of locks eventually? Because you started off having keys, then it was losing the keys. You're trying to put the keys out of reach of the...
we tried different locks all the time.
Yeah.
She even tried figuring out to use the key locks at one point.
Yeah, that was the other thing, wasn't it? It's like any adaptation had to constantly be adapted because Ez would work out how to overcome
exactly.
that.
Exactly. And so it was always one hurdle after the other.
And the other thing, like you said about running taps and the mischievous side of things, I mean...
But she'd run a hot water tap and for us it'd be scolding, but for her she wouldn't even think.
So she wouldn't... She could
actually injure herself, so it was always having to be really careful with things like that. And the same with her showering. I have to be careful that it's not too hot for her, because she would literally stand under freezing cold water or really, really hot water.
And that's because of her sensory, the differences in her sensory processing. So she's hypo, not hyper sensitive when it comes to
the amount of times she's tripped over her own feet and fell head first and smashed her head and just got back up and just shrugged it off and walked away. Like most children would cry their eyes out,
and
kind of thing. And she's like, and adults, and not Esmay. She's.
I mean, I've seen those.
Mid still, my Es.
Yeah. One tough
She's always been my Supergirl.
And I mean, but this is the thing, isn't it? It's like she'll cause her self-injury through frustration. So it's a sensory stimulating, sensory seeking activity, but also
it's also self-harming.
Yeah, because she's frustrated.
She went through a stage of headbutting and headbanging. I lost my tooth once. Completely lost my tooth. She gave me nosebleeds, eyes. But it wasn't because she was doing it intentionally. It would be just because of the way her body flopped a certain way, and I just missed it. And like I said, she's like a big, strong, heavy girl.
I mean, that's the thing. Even when
she was a toddler, she's always had that build,
physique.
Yeah, that physique. My Amazon girl. Yeah. That's what it was always.
Amazon queen.
Super strong.
Super strong. And I mean, that's another thing. I remember when we'd sit in your kitchen and the gate would be in place in between the front room and
lifting her whole body up,
elegantly lift her legs over.
The way this girl worked her muscles was insane.
And I've just started my pole dancing journey, so it was I understood the kind of the strength, and I was like, wow, this girl is strong.
She was.
And I mean, going back to the thing with the imaginary play, so she didn't and still doesn't, would you say, as a teen, does she occupy herself, or is it kind of hyper-focusing on special interests?
She likes a super sensories, or anything fidgety. She likes a kinetic sand, Play-Doh, anything she can messy play with. She does do a lot of painting at school. She loves painting. Yeah. And she loves baking as well. She likes to cook. So she does have things, but they're all sensory-based activities. Yeah. But as long as that's what is her niche, that's her niche.
Well, and I'm just thinking, as a toddler, you were doing all of this blind. Yeah. You know, we're sitting here reflecting on a kind of 16-year journey so far.
The amount of things we've tried with her to see if it would be her niche kind of thing.
Yeah.
Do you know
so do you think that's one of the kind of big things to do, is to
always introducing new stuff to Esmay.
Yeah, until you find what she likes.
Yeah, exactly, because you just never know.
Does she?
I never think, I shouldn't get that because she won't like it or she won't play with it. I'll think, maybe I think she might like it because it'd be singing or there's lights on it or something like that. And she's very repetitive, especially with toys that have singing and lights on. She'll play that song over and over.
Yeah,
and it'll be joy for her. It'll make her extremely happy. So.
And she does like music, doesn't she? And
she's massively musically based.
Yeah.
She does dance therapy at school, so she does a dancing to music at school, and she absolutely loves that. She's been doing that since she was little.
Yeah.
So she's been doing that for a very long time.
And I mean, going back to her as a young toddler and right up to, 5, 6 years old and things like that, that was kind of like one of the times when your physical connections really grew, because you'd get our hands and you'd be dancing together in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So her love of music and a love of dancing, I mean, it was like you would always have your music on when you're doing your cleaning, so she'd like kind of come over and then eventually start dancing
together. My kids have no choice with my music.
She's definitely got her own favourites, hasn't she?
Well, when Esmay's got her iPad and she's playing her songs, it's on every single era. Like, the girl could be a DJ if she wanted to.
Yeah.
That's the way I always say it. It says, one day, Les, you might be a DJ.
Yeah, because she's got such an eclectic taste of music.
And they're so good, the songs that she likes anyway, from every era, every genre of music as well. Like, nothing surprises me as well with Esmay. It's like, nothing surprises me. She always finds something.
So, fasting forward kind of thing. So we've got Esmay as a toddler, and then you go, I mean, the journey continues anyway, even, all of the years, through all of the years. And then how old was Ez when you had Hattie?
She was just turned 11.
Yeah. So, and Hattie is 5 now.
Yeah.
So you'd got Esmay and George at 10 and 11, and then you fall pregnant with Hattie.
My miracle baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember you were going through all that treatment in the hospital, absolutely nothing to do with pregnancy or falling pregnant or anything like that. And then next thing you know, Bob's your uncle.
Yeah.
There's a baby in there. Yeah. So...
and I was having another go and I was blissfully happy.
Yeah. So do you want to elaborate a little bit more on that then, having another go?
With Esmay, don't get me wrong, I love my girl. I think she's unique.
Yeah.
She's perfect the way she is. I'd always had a little niche of my idea of a girly girl.
Yeah, of course.
Kind of
dolls. And...
Yeah, you just do, don't you?
Yeah.
Like a girly girl and a boy who likes football and wrestling and all that stuff. But she was never into girly stuff.
Yeah.
Ever. Not one girly thing she liked. And, that was fine, and that's who she is, and there's nothing wrong with that, and I love that for that.
Yeah. So with Hattie, it was right, let's see what we get. Is she going to be a girly girl this time?
She's definitely a girly girl.
Yeah, she loves her dolls.
Oh, yes. She definitely does.
So Hattie, at what age? So Hattie is also autistic. And...
we're on the process of getting a diagnosis.
Yeah. Process of getting diagnosed. 5 years old. She's currently attending mainstream, but with a one-to-one support, isn't she?
Yeah.
And doing absolutely fantastic. But before we kind of go straight to that point, when did the suspicions arise with Hattie? Was it in the back of your mind?
It was always at the back of my mind. I think after Esmay and George was never diagnosed, so George was fine. But after Esmay, it was always at the back of my mind because it's just one of those things. Sometimes it runs in girls in families and it will run in boys in families. So I always kind of knew it might be there.
Yeah.
So I never
you weren't worried.
Kind of thing. So I always knew. And there were certain things that I saw that made me think and wonder.
Yeah.
Because obviously the knowledge I have now compared to what I had when Esmay was being diagnosed is completely different.
Yeah.
I know more about it. I can see the signs. I see signs in other people now and other children.
Which is brilliant because
I pick it up wherever I go now. It's just my superpower now, I suppose. But
I like that.
Yeah, so I do. I see it. I just pick it up. But Hattie's different. She's the other end of the spectrum.
Well, we were talking earlier about the kind of spectrum itself as being a circular visual.
Yeah.
And then you've got your chunks where you've got problems with the processing or how you engage socially and how you communicate and all the kind of areas. And everybody's got their own unique plot on this spectrum. So if we see it like that, something where Esmay struggles to communicate, for example, still now at 15 is classed as non-verbal.
Yeah.
Hattie, on the other hand, is showing completely different kind of signs when it comes to her communication, isn't she?
Yeah, her communication's different. She still needs speech and language. She's starting to say things in sentences, but she had such a vocabulary of words at such a young age.
But they were random, or were they?
Yeah, they were random words like A for apple, B for banana. She would know all of that.
Yeah.
At 2 years old, like A, B, C, D, like just doing it all, reciting it over and over. Her numbers, her numbers are even more.
Yeah, well, she loves her numbers.
She's always singing numbers. Yeah. Wherever if there's numbers on the street, she's singing the numbers.
Yeah.
Her speech and language is different, and like she can ask for things and answer questions and follow instructions a lot better than what Esmay could. So yeah, it's definitely different, but there's also definitely the signs are definitely there.
Yeah, and those similarities are there. Yeah. And sensory wise, then, what would you say? Would you say that Hattie is super sensitive to certain things?
Yeah, she's definitely super sensitive to loud noises.
Yeah,
she don't like loud noises. She'd rather not. If there's too many people, she'll take herself away. Yeah, and Esmay's the same. She will take herself away if it's too many people.
Yeah, gets easily overwhelmed by the presence.
Noise is definitely a thing. Like at school, they did a fire alarm. And she hated it. It was horrible for her. She was screaming and it was just painful for her. Yeah. And obviously we never experienced an alarm before, so we didn't know she was going to react like that. And obviously the school didn't know she was going to react like that either. Yeah. And it was something they had to do.
And that is something really worthwhile bringing to attention, actually, because we had a fire alarm recently and they came round and popped their heads in all the classrooms and they let us know because our students are obviously, they're there for a reason. Yeah. So they give you that pre-warning. Yeah. So they'll just say, there's going to be a test alarm in lesson whatever, just so you're prepared. And then one of my students disappeared and I'm like, where's she gone looking for her? She's hiding in the store cupboard. Now at first this behaviour I was like, we're being so silly for, but then it suddenly dawned on me. Yeah, she'd overheard us talking about this fire alarm and thought, oh my goodness, and just knowing it was coming was so overwhelming they took themselves away. So I think it's really worthwhile pointing that out to schools that something as little. Yeah, I mean, it is quite dramatic, but
it's shocking at first. It makes you jump.
Yeah, it's like, not very nice,
especially for like little kids as well when they've never heard those kind of sounds. Yeah, they come from nursery to primary school. Yeah, they've never heard a fire alarm.
And you have got a sensitive hearing, and then suddenly that's ringing away in your ears.
No, definitely. She also doesn't like assembly. Too many people, too loud, too many voices. It gets way overbearing. Yeah. So she ends up going to a reading corner with a key person, and that calms her down.
And the school have been really great, actually, haven't they?
The school's fantastic. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. They've gotten really used to her and her ways, and she's slowly trying to follow the routine that the other children do, and the other children are so lovely to her. Oh, they're all so lovely to her.
Well, children haven't been taught to be judgmental yet. I think a lot of us would be.
She's always the first one out.
Oh, bless.
Ready to go.
Yeah, she gets her bag ready. And I mean, Esmay loves school as well, doesn't she?
Yeah, Esmay loves school. If Esmay doesn't have school, the whole world hears about it. Yeah, we had an unexpected strike day. Yesterday, and all day she screamed. She just was not happy. Yeah, she was like, I already had 2 days off last week. Yeah, because she was poorly, and then the week before that they had 2 days off because of strikes, and then at the end of the month they've got Easter holidays.
Oh, she's not impressed.
I've been trying to tell her, you do know you've got Easter holidays coming soon, Ez.
Well, and I think
no school.
This is the thing for you as a parent, that lack of knowing. Being able to comfort her and being able to check, are you okay? Yeah. That is like potentially probably one of the...
I'm pretty good at reading Esmay's body language.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, and I can just tell by the look on her face sometimes, like when she's in a happy, joyful mood and she wants mummy to play with her and she wants me to come up and tickle her, she'll just look at me like this and she'll be like...
Yeah, enticing
me to come to her, and I'll be like, okay, We want some tickles.
I think
she'll give her that, and she'll just laugh her head off, and it's the most joyful sound.
Yeah. Well, I think the lesson she can teach the world is that you don't need words to communicate.
Exactly.
You've built this relationship.
Exactly. We do a lot of eye contact, me and Ez.
Yeah, and you know what messages you're giving to each other, and you have fun times and things like that.
We'll make it work.
I mean, I remember when I babysat for you years and years and years ago. I think you had gone, God knows where you'd gone, but I was getting used to Esmay's noises and knowing which noises were her she's playing kind of thing. So it'd be the same kind of repetitive noise, but if it maintained that tone, then that was just her playing. But if the pitch changed in the slightest, you would hear it.
Yeah.
But I was like in and out checking on her, checking she's all right, checking she's all right, because I just didn't trust my own.
She hates that now though, that, you know, it's like I can literally do that once in the evening. If
check on her.
Or she'll just tell me off. She's like, go away, this is my time.
Well, she tells me off if I turn up unexpected and, you know, she's in the living room. And it's because now she's quite often in a bedroom, typical teenager kind of thing. But
definitely.
If I've turned up unexpected before, she's had a real kind of moan about it and a grizzle about it. And I'm like, sorry, Ez.
It's not just you, darling. It's not just you.
No. So how, if any then, do you think your parenting style differed between the two girls, the two experiences?
I think I've just got a lot more understanding for Harriet's needs because I've gone through it all with Esmay and still going through it with Esmay. Like it's not something that ends. It's a never-ending journey. It's a never.
You're always learning.
It's like the bed situation. Okay. Every year we buy a new bed, a new mattress because Esmay breaks them or she don't like them and she sleeps under them.
Yeah.
We bought a cast iron bed and a medical waterproof mattress that costs so much money for her to sleep under the bed. So, and it's like, now what do we do? So now we're trying to work out another way of finding a more comfortable...
Another solution.
Yeah, another solution. So like I said, there's always hurdles. And with Harriet, she has her own issues. Like I said, she has sensory issues. She has the same sleep issue where it takes her a long time to settle down and to switch off.
So that's your other problem, actually, isn't trying to get her to sleep for school. It's she's not quite sleep on command type thing.
That kind of thing. She's not tired. So I wish I could just have a child that goes to sleep at 7:30 at night. That would be lovely.
Well, sometimes.
But it's not the case for me.
Yeah. And you said sometimes it's 3 a.m, isn't it, before she'll fall asleep.
And then I'm up at 6.
Yeah.
Every morning, so.
And then you've still got to take Hattie to school, but kind of pass on that message to the staff. Yeah. She's not slept so much, she might be.
Yeah, every day. Every day I give them a lowdown and then they give me a lowdown of how her day's been. So we're very there's a lot of communication. Yeah.
And that is like so helpful.
Yeah,
because the message is getting passed over.
I'm glad that I can do that.
Yeah.
I'd rather know what's going on.
Yeah. So in terms of like parenting, we don't know if we're going to get parents tuning in. Is there like a supportive kind of message that you'd want to share?
I'd probably say one of the best things I've ever been told in my life was from my mum. When it was really like hard for me to get my head around things when Esmay was first getting diagnosed, was, Kat, all you've got to do is persevere. As long as you can persevere and keep going, everything will be fine. And I tell you what, that's the most honest, truest thing ever.
Yeah, it's just that one.
And it relates to everything in the world. Yeah, every little thing that happens to you, it will relate. Just persevere, and you'll get through it. Yeah,
in a way, you've got no other option.
And that, exactly, I've got no other option. I've got 2 girls that have got 2 completely different needs and 2 completely different routines. Like Harriet's still learning her routine and her need, what she likes and what she doesn't like. Whereas Esmay's set in her ways now, and she's got a routine. And you interrupt that routine, you will never hear the end of it. But other than that.
So it is just
don't give up. Like, you've got to persevere. Like, some days could be really, really hard. Like, you know, I lost my tooth and it really affected my self-confidence and made me feel really like sad and stuff like that. But in the end, I knew it wasn't her fault and it was something that I could eventually get fixed, kind of thing. And like, eventually, like, you just persevere and you just don't give up. You just open the door to your next chapter of what's going to happen in your life.
So it's a different story, a different set of milestones, a different journey.
Definitely.
And I think that's something really important to point out as well, that you go into parenting and nobody knows what to expect, really. You know,
At
they
all.
don't know what.
At all.
Yeah,
At
you
all.
don't know what to expect. So
I
to
think
them,
one of my kids is different.
yeah, exactly, and they're all fantastic, and they've all got, and they are the kind of perfect example of the spectrum in the sense that they're not the same, but they've got these similarities. You know, the shared areas of difficulty, but it's not the same difficulty.
Yeah.
And I mean, partly going through this last kind of 14 years together, our own understanding of ourselves has developed as we've gone along as well, hasn't it? And it's become like one of our kind of special interests and shared passions.
Yeah, definitely.
Autism in itself, the understanding of it.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'm really interested to discuss is this whole... So autism with Esmay is that, in my mind, it's almost like the traditional sense of what we meant by autism.
Yeah, what you see on TV.
Yeah, like the extreme type thing.
Yeah.
And Esmay is disabled in terms of she will never kind of have that...
She has no sense of danger.
Yeah.
So you always have to be aware with Esmay.
Yeah.
Your awareness of Esmay has got to be alert.
She'll always need a level of...
supervision.
Yeah, so even if she kind of had like a little annex on the side of the house where she could... eventually go on to live somewhat independently, she would still need that checking in and the regulation.
Still need like one-to-one, without doubt.
And that's kind of where I see autism first being recognised as a lot of people. But then now we've got this expansion of recognition and understanding of autism where us ourselves can relate a lot to the things that are on these spectrums.
Yeah.
So I suppose what I'm trying to ask is, as a parent to somebody that's disabled with autism kind of thing, does it make you feel different or any way when I started being like, well, I'm autistic, you know, I relate to these autism traits.
Yeah. No.
How does the spectrum kind of reflect on you personally?
I personally think there's a little bit of autism in everyone. And I think that statement is so true. It says every like, for me, I have sensory issues, like I don't like bright lights.
Yeah. Hence our quite subdued lighting in here.
Yes, stop me from the bright
and it's
lights.
a sensory, we've like reacted to that sensory need. And actually I much prefer this.
Bright light.
Yeah.
I'm not very good in the sun. The sun don't like me. But
So the sensory kind of thing we understand. No, so in terms of, sorry, what you said about being a bit of autism in everyone.
Yeah, because like, for example, you get people that are obsessed with, I don't know, Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter or anything like that. And they could get to, like, when you see an autistic person obsessing over something, they have everything. Yeah. In pristine condition as well. And it's all beautiful and they've got it set out the way they visually want it to be set out and stuff like that. And for me, I love movies and TV shows and I've watched everything going.
You've got those special
I've got that
interests
information
yourself.
stuck in my head.
But the thing is, sorry, go on. I just wanted to say about, in terms of you saying about everyone having a bit of autism, because it's quite a controversial statement.
It is a controversial.
Because obviously we also say about with the ADHD, when people say, well, everyone's a little bit ADHD. And I think what we need to point out there is that the autism and the ADHD aren't abnormal things.
No, not at all.
They're regular human traits that are just kind of extremified, if that's a word. I'm not sure. Check that for me. Is extremified a word?
Some of the greatest minds in history.
We'll make it a word.
Yeah. If it can be used in a sentence, it's a word.
Some of the greatest minds in history have been autistic. Tesla, Albert Einstein, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
So many, not Leonardo DiCaprio, Leonardo da Vinci, sorry.
Yeah. I think DiCaprio's on the ADHD. I think he's on the ADHD.
Yeah. So like...
Well,
it's like...
a necessary thing, though.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's Neurodiversity Celebration Week right now as we sit here recording.
The top scientists of the world have autism. And, they can specifically put all their focus on one thing and be absolutely genius at it.
Yeah, like the complete hyper-focus in that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're highlighting there is those when these extremities kind of lead to scientific breakthroughs and progression. And what we're starting to see historically is that it's the neurodivergence of the societies that create these kind of leaps forward. Yeah. But also, obviously, the neurodivergence in society that are being not supported and not kind of, we're not building a society that recognises their strengths and their weaknesses.
Oh, yeah. definitely.
So one of the messages then, or one of the questions that we wanted to put to you was, what do you wish everybody just knew? So when it comes to autism awareness, and you're thinking of Esmay as well, like, you know, what do you wish that everybody out there...
I wish everybody would understand that just because they have autism, they're not human.
Yeah, they're
not people. Yeah. They all have feelings. They all have ears. They can hear things. Like, I know for a fact that Esmay can understand a lot of what we're saying. Mm-hmm. And I know because of the way she reacts and the way she, like...
Yeah. Yeah.
She can remember things and responds to things. So, like, I'd never talk about Esmay in front of her like she wasn't there.
Yeah.
Because I know from research and other people that I've looked into who are non-verbal and later on found a way of getting their voice out.
Yeah.
Like Carly Filchman, who typewrite.
Yeah.
Her way was when she was 16, she started typing, and that's how she ended up speaking to her parents for the first time when she was 16. And, you know, she expressed that she could hear everything what everybody was saying about her when she was in the middle of the room.
Yeah.
And that made me think twice. It made me think, oh, maybe Esmay can hear me then. Maybe we should be careful about what we're saying in front of her because she's still a person. She's still got feelings.
Yeah.
Just because she's not got a way to express or talk her feelings the way we would doesn't mean that she doesn't have them.
Yeah.
So I have to remember that.
Yeah, I know.
And I wish other people would remember that as well because just because they're having a meltdown in a supermarket because there's lights and noise and it's too much for them doesn't mean they're doing something bad. It's just too overbearing and they need to just calmly get away from that situation. So I do wish people were a bit more understanding, but I do think over time people have become more understanding. I think there's been a lot more of it in TV shows and documentaries.
Yeah, that's been really helpful.
Like, obviously, social media's got so big now that there is a lot more of a platform for it, and I'm very grateful for it. And I do wish that more people understood more.
And that's the thing, you're having to advocate for Esmay and in terms of that she can't say stop that or I don't want to do that. You're reading her and then being her translator, as it were.
Exactly.
And also you mentioned about TV programmes, and I want to say about Inside Our Autistic Minds that was on BBC Two, I think it was, a couple of weeks ago. And if you've not watched it yet, check it out, because in my mind, and I know you've been so busy and it's been on your to-do list to do, so you are going to love it. Now,
I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, and the reason that I mention it as well is because there's a non-verbal lad on there, and I'm sure his name's Murray, but I keep second guessing myself now. But his biggest message was, you know, that we have got, although we haven't got a traditional voice, we have still got those thoughts and we can hear you. We just can't actually process it all in time to formulate the words to come out of our mouths. And that's the only part that's like kind of different in that, you know, the processing is still there. And actually, that is a massive eye-opener, isn't it? Because you can very much quickly just think, oh, they don't understand. Yeah. And actually...
very quickly.
Now, in that respect...
you'd think that about Hattie, but then Hattie, can outshine you on most maths. Yeah. You know, it shocks you.
We've not mentioned her age.
For her age, for what she's doing in her numbers and her spellings and stuff like that is amazing.
So it's almost like her memory.
Yeah, her memory is amazing. Yeah. It's the speech that's dragging him back, but she's slowly getting better. The school's been amazing for her.
And it is that mismatch. This is what we find, isn't it? It's like being extremely good at this, but extremely... poor at this kind of thing, and it's there's no kind of average in the middle.
No,
aren't not neurotypicals like that though. They have their strengths and their weaknesses, and somehow society welcomes that.
But I think it's the extremes though, isn't it? Where and not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with it. I just mean it's harder. I suppose it's harder to cater for, and that's why we provide this one size fits all, because it's let's just find the average and just hit that.
Exactly.
And then if you were extremely bad at everything, you'd probably find a bit of support. And if you're extremely good at everything, but if you're kind of got this mismatch, which is where I feel like I fall with the ADHD thing. Sometimes I striving in one thing and flailing in the other.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe that's where society fails to recognise that is absolutely a thing, you know, that we're not all well-rounded like how you would like it to look.
Exactly.
But yeah, Hattie with her numbers, so that was something that really impressed the teacher, doesn't it? When she was like, she's not communicating in a traditional way.
No,
but
she don't like socialise with the other children. So if they're doing their routine schoolwork, she would be doing something else.
Yeah.
And it's usually what she wants to do. But recently she's been following a lot of the routine and she's starting to write loads of different words. So like she's been doing really, really well.
Yeah.
And her maths, like she could sit there and do maths longer than any of the other kids. So she makes me laugh. Always.
Oh, bless her. And she loves her stickers. I know this because I'm a
number blocks,
fan.
the biggest number block fan ever. And she has, the other thing about Hattie as well that I'd like to mention is that she does do imaginary play.
Yes.
Which is something that typically is not something that a lot of autistic with autism, and Esmay don't do imaginary play.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see Hattie do that because, like I said, you have different spectrum of the wheel kind of thing.
Do you find she occupies herself because she will imaginary play?
Yeah, definitely. She's like, she loves it.
Yeah. And I think that, again, is another thing to point out, that when you're a parent and you're thinking there's something different about your child, you're perhaps trying to seek more information. One of the things that they do say for autism is that you won't see them doing all imaginary play, but actually that's like another myth kind of thing.
Yeah, I think respect. So. Definitely.
What do you see Hattie line things up? Is she ever rigid with her play?
She only lines things up when she wants them in order.
Or sorts them?
When they're in order. So like the alphabet blocks.
Oh, she'll put them in.
She'll put them in order. Yeah. The numbers, she'll put them in order. If the jigsaw's out of place, she'll put it back into order.
Yeah.
And Arthur's the same, he does the second, he's like, he does it too. It's so funny. And they're both like singing the alphabet.
So Arthur's like the youngest of the pack, isn't he? And it's like there's 4 in total. Girl, boy. With like a 10-year age gap between the two.
Yeah, I was very lucky.
In a way, it's almost like the perfect self. It's like, have a go at it. Like, learn the ropes, write a rule book, then do it all over again and see if you can blast it out this time.
Yeah, bossing it out the wall. Terrible.
So, I don't know whether we've covered everything. I'm just trying to think. We've spoken about their different ages, and we've spoken about their kind of like challenges and issues and our own. I mean, just coming back to us kind of thing as adults and autism awareness within adults. And you were saying how you recognise it now more in other people.
Yeah.
Is that just kids, or do you see it in...
Oh, adults as well, definitely. Because the more I look at it, I think, wow.
And you're doing a lot of research anyway. You're reading up about it. You're watching...
Oh, yeah, definitely. I always get... My mother-in-law is always telling me what show is on.
Yeah.
You've got to watch this show. I'm really good at watching the documentaries, but anything's like a TV show about it, it kind of... I can't watch it. Yeah. I don't know what it is. I just can't do it.
Stuff on the telly,
but I prefer the documentary stuff because I like facts. I'm the fact queen.
So, and that is one of the things that we were discussing before we started, was like all of your traits that we've kind of put together now, and technically it's autism.
Yeah. Because
there's sensory processing. You've always suffered with your nerves and all of that kind of thing. There's social anxiety and the difficulties with socialising and kind of, there's been times of having panic attacks on the way home from school, school run and stuff like that. Yeah.
I get very overwhelmed when loads of people talk to me.
Yeah.
which is weird because I used to be a barmaid and I could talk to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially since having kids and being more, basically being a mother, I suppose. Like, my anxiety definitely goes up with my kids because I'm always worried.
Yeah.
I think that's just being a mum.
Yeah, the natural mum guilt and the mum worry that
mum guilt is awful. It's the worst thing in the world. It shouldn't be allowed.
Because and this is one of the things, is that autism is hereditary and it will run in families, or it will have patterns and you'll see it kind of arise.
Yeah, it's definitely there's definitely a pattern in my side of the family, and there's Asperger's on. So, Yeah.
We don't use the term Asperger's because we don't want to, obviously.
Sorry, he was diagnosed as that.
Yeah, that was his diagnosis back in the time.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of confusion does come in, doesn't it? Because there's lots of different terms, and people say an autistic person or a person with autism.
Terms are changing to different terms.
The politically correctness of what you should be using and should be saying. It can make it really hard to talk about because it puts you on edge and you think, don't want to offend anybody or get it wrong.
Saying the right thing.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
But so the pattern in the families, I mean, with our platform and with the education that we're trying to provide is that if there's somebody diagnosed in your family as autistic, especially with the younger generations, it is worthwhile having a look at yourself and those around you. And
definitely.
Because understanding why you're sensitive to certain situations or overwhelmed in certain situations or even underwhelmed.
And you make small changes in your life and it can make you extremely happy.
Yeah.
Because of those things that were putting a block up in your life that was making you anxious or overwhelmed and stuff like that. So no, I definitely agree with that.
And that's partly that awareness. It's not that we're trying to say everyone should be diagnosed autistic or anything like that, but it's more that case of if your grandchild is autistic, then chances are that you might have those traits, or your partner might, or your son, your daughter.
You've got a friend who doesn't like any fruit or picky, like slimy things. And you've got a sensory issue.
Yeah, and I think the sensory thing.
And then my brain starts ticking. Like, is there any other traits?
Sensory issues are kind of the quickest, biggest ones to pick up on, aren't they? Because people are flinching because of sounds.
I think everybody's got sensory issues. I think there's always something that could like my boy George, for example, he hates washing up. The thought of putting his hands in dirty water drives him insane to the point that he has to wear marigolds. 40-year-old boy with marigolds.
Yeah, this is something I've come across with the students as well, and that the bits in the washing up bowl is a really common thing that I hear mentioned.
I'm always like, man up! You can wash up. I used to do all these chores.
No, we don't use that term either.
I used to do all these chores when I was a kid. You'll be all right.
But the thing is, it's like put the marigolds on and do it with marigolds on. There's always a way around it. If you don't want to put your hands in the bowl, put the gloves on.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, I agree with you on that.
Yeah. And the sensory thing, this is why on our website, the basic 5 senses, free guide to download, one of my most favourite ones to write and produce. And the reason we started with that is because it's almost a foundation, to understanding how your body works, because your senses are what creates everything around you.
Yeah.
If they're all turned wide open and taking everything in and you're not actually batting any other way of filtering it, then you're going to suffer from overwhelm.
Yeah, definitely.
Excellent.
It's a weird one.
Yeah, it is. We're all weird. This is what I like.
Different.
We are different. So the question, what would you tell your younger self on, it doesn't have to be autism related, it could be absolutely anything.
Probably to never forget to laugh. Laugh is important. Laughing is the best medicine. Whenever I'm down, if I can laugh, I will always feel better. So never forget to laugh. Never forget to dance. That's one of my biggest joys in life. Washing up, putting the music on and just having a boogie. I swear I'm going to start a TikTok trend doing this. I think it would
insert video of Cat dancing.
All the housewives and the mothers dancing to their favourite music while they're washing up. It's going to be big, I'm telling you now. But no, joy, just laugh and dancing. Just don't forget that you can let loose and just be free sometimes. Because I'll go for a walk and clear my brain and when everything's overbearing. So, definitely find time for yourself to do things like that. Just be silly.
Yeah, be silly.
Yeah, just be silly. There's nothing wrong with being silly.
Don't grow up, it's a trap.
Yeah, definitely.
Woo! So.
That was a tough one.
Yeah, it was a great answer. Absolutely fantastic answer.
I always try.
So this whole episode is all about raising awareness of autism. And it's like you are the star of our show. Is there anything that we've kind of had a conversation, we've tried to cover some key points, we've brought in just a few. I mean, it's such a huge arena. We could talk about it. Well, we do talk about it all night over regular occasion.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Is there anything, and I mean, if your brain's anything like mine, we'll cut off and then it'll be like, oh my God, I totally didn't say that. Like, I needed to say.
Don't put him on the spot, Liz.
No, but the good thing is, if nothing's coming to mind, we've covered it. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. It's just that kind of final chance of racking your brain.
I think we've covered it.
Yeah.
Because I was racking my brain before you said that.
Yeah. And sometimes I have a little shake around, like, have I mentally covered everything? And I think, it's important to remember that autism's lifelong. It's not something that you grow out of. It's not something that should be seen as a disease that needs to be cured.
They're still human beings. They still have feelings.
Yeah, and the thing is, we say this, they are still human beings. We, as we understand autism more and more, are classed as being in the autistic community. Yeah. You know, and I suppose it's just that kind of the collective.
Yeah, exactly. Esmay loves a good dance. She loves the music.
Yeah.
You know, like any other girl her age.
It's breaking down those
She's
barriers.
going through the hormone changes as we speak.
Yeah.
I did teenager.
And that's the thing, that brings its whole new set of challenges anyway, never mind to a girl that's struggling with not being able to communicate and things like that.
Exactly.
But, go on.
I can't remember what word I was going to say. She's talked to her female changes really well.
Yeah.
Because
that was one of your big fears, wasn't it? Like, how is she going?
Oh yeah, like periods and stuff like that. I was like, oh, how's she going to handle this? But she's fine. She's like talked to it really well.
We did always say, don't we? Hopefully, because it's natural.
She's also one that doesn't take pain relief. So when Esmay's poorly or she has period cramps and stuff like that, she just suffers through it.
Yeah,
it's awful because I have to take everything to make me feel better.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I do
wish you could soothe her.
Wish I could soothe her more, but I can only do as much as she allows it.
Yeah, well, I think that she is so totally lucky to have you as a mum because, you know, I see what you do day in, day out, and it's like, it's exhausting.
The small achievements are the most rewarding.
Yeah.
Like, for years, when she was younger, she didn't kiss.
Yeah.
And I remember the day she started kissing us again.
Yeah.
It was so good. It was like, mummy kiss, daddy kiss, mummy kiss, daddy kiss.
Yeah.
And we were just to and fro for ages. And she thought it was absolutely hysterical. But we were like, you're finally kissing us. Like, it was a massive thing. And a few months back, she started hugging me, like giving me, she's like, near enough my height now, so it's amazing. She can give me a proper bear hug, and I love a bear hug.
Yeah.
So she gives me every time I get her ready for bed and she's in her pajamas, she gives me a massive bear hug, and we do a different way of hugging each time. And when she's got her arms wrapped around my neck, I pick her up. Yeah. And she laughs her head off because I'm picking her up. I've picked her up about that much. She's a big girl. It's very heavy. But that is one of the most beautiful things to see. Is Esmay being outdoors.
Yeah.
She loves the sunshine. She loves the flowers. She blows off all the dandelions she sees. She'll climb on every rock. Like she used
to howl at the moon as well, though, didn't she? Genuinely go outside and be connected to the moon in the sky.
Oh my God, she loved looking at the stars and the moon. I can't wait to be able to one day live out in the sticks for her to have all the space in the world and for her to be as loud as she wants. That's my dream. Yeah. I just want her to have
just be free and just be herself.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, being herself isn't a problem to anyone. It's a problem when you take her out in public and everyone's staring at why is she reacting like this.
Yeah, no, exactly. She don't do very well in public.
Yeah. But it kind of comes down to what we said before about how much of the traits are problematic to us. Yeah. How many of the traits are actually problematic to the way society is built rather than, they're not actually a problem.
Yeah.
This is the thing, Esmay's almost like my firstborn. She was like, she's like one of the longest that I've like kind of known and I give my hammer downs to her, and now she's finally taller than me. It's like she's finally overtook me where I can't give her my
bigger
clue.
feet than me, and that's saying something.
Oh, well, it has been absolutely lovely having this chat.
I'll be back, I'm sure.
Well, we'll have you back doing your TikTok dancing at the sink and doing the...
One day I'll do it.
But yeah, we really, really appreciate it because, it's quite personal. Yeah. You've let us just talk about your life.
I actually really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. It's been a good conversation.
And we hope that everyone out there has kind of gained something from it, whether it's a new perspective, a new bit of understanding. And if there's any questions, then of course, get in touch. I'm sure you won't mind answering any specific questions, especially if there's parents out there that are perhaps only just beginning their journey.
Yep. I'm going through it again, so
and obviously,
I can always try and help.
Yeah, that'd be really good. Yeah, so thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Yay.
Good night.
High five.
Why is it like this? Instead of hate, it should be love we invite in. You don't agree, then you're the problem that we're fighting. Open up your mind, stand up, become righteous. Why? Why is it like this? Instead of hate, it should be love we invite in. You don't agree, then you're the problem that we're fighting. Open up your mind, stand up, become righteous.